Hello everyone. In the previous video I have explained the concept of outer measure, right? And in the same video I have explained 5 properties of outer measure. But I'm sorry to say 6th and 7th property was missed out. This video consists of only the left out concept, that is left out properties of a measurable set. 6th property is that measure of any finite set will be equal to 0. Meaning is, suppose if you are going to consider any set A, and when you take measure of that particular set will be equal to 0. In the sense, let me take capital A as a finite set. In the sense, it contains a set of elements, finite elements, say xk. Then I have already told you that if this is the case, then there exists an epsilon such that for each set in the open set, we can write as per the property 1, x1 minus epsilon by 2, x1 plus epsilon by 2. We can write this as subset, right? Or else x1 is contained in between these two intervals. Similarly, for each element we can express something like this: x2 minus epsilon by 2, x2 plus epsilon by 2. So when you continue this process, for particular xk will be contained in xk minus epsilon by 2, xk plus epsilon by 2. Now, meaning is that when you are going to apply measure for the given set will be less than or equal to, subset will become less than or equal to. Fine. So, will be less than or, when you apply measure for each and every set, you will get measure of A, right? Why? Because all these sets will be contained in set A. So, subset will become less than or equal to, and you are going to get length of each of the intervals. Each of the sets. So, when you continue this, you will get length of particular xk. Fine. Anyhow, we have already proved that, by the property of outer measure, length is none other than measure, right? Length is equivalent to measure. So, measure of a single element is always 0. Or else I can write m store of a single open set will be equal to 0. Single element is also 0. Measure of single open set is also equal to 0. So by that property I can say m store of A is equal to 0. Since measure of each and every set inside this set is 0, so m store of A will become 0. That is, remember, measure of a finite set is always equal to 0. Clear? Now the 7th property is very important property. And this is the main property. Based on this, we are going to derive rest of the theorems. And this property you have to remember, very, very important. It is also asked in one of the year. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact year. We say translation invariant property. We use this particular property in rest of the theorem. So remember this. So suppose if A is subset of R, then, and if X is any number in R, I have considered a real number line R, and A is any one of the set in R, and X is one of the element in R, then if you are going to add these elements to the given set, will be of the form A plus X. In the sense, I am going to add each element in this open set with the assumed element X. If this is the case, for every epsilon greater than 0, then there exists epsilon greater than 0, then there exists an open interval in such that length of in is less than m store of A plus epsilon. This is very important, and this concept will be used in rest of the theorems. Remember this concept. Translation, when I said translation invariant property, there will be epsilon greater than 0 for all open intervals. Length of in will be less than, it is not equal to, it is less than m store A plus epsilon. Fine. Hope so this property is clear. So this is what the translation invariant property is. Now let me prove this. Suppose if I have A plus X is equal to A plus X such that A belongs to A. This is what I have. Now A plus X can be written as, or else it is a subset of union of all the open intervals plus an X. Right? Why? Because in the first property what I have said is open set is expressed as union of all open intervals. Right? So I have considered open set A something like this. You can understand here. See here, by the first property I can write A is subset of union of all the open intervals. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add X on both sides. So what you're going to get is subset of union I is equal to 1 to infinity in plus X. That is what I have written here. Clear? Now let me apply measure on both sides. So m store of A plus X is, when you're going to apply measure, this monotonic property we have to use. Subset will become less than or equal to, and union will become summation. n is equal to 1 to infinity. So when you're taking measure, it is none other than length of the assumed interval. So L of in plus x. Fine. Now I have already told you that measure of single set is 0. So when you're going to take length here, I can write this as m star of a plus x is less than or equal to n is equal to 1 to infinity length of in. Why? Because length of x will become 0. Length is none other than measure. Measure of this element will be 0. So left with length of in. That is what I have written here. Clear? Now m star of a plus x, let me keep that as it is. Now what is the value of length of in? By this property I can write here. Length of in is less than or equal to m star of a plus epsilon. Why? Because I've already assumed by the translation invariant property length of in is less than m star of a plus epsilon. That is what I have substituted here. Now epsilon is arbitrary quantity. We can neglect it. Thereby I'll get measure of a plus x is less than or equal to measure of a. Remember this one. You have to, when they asked you to prove translation invariant property, you have to prove up to here. In the sense, if you're going to add any element to an open set, that measure will be always less than the original open set. I am repeating once again. As per the translation invariant property, if we have a real number and an open set which is subset of R and any element x in that R, if you want to add that element to an open set, we are going to add each element of open set with the given element. That is what I have written. If that was the case, then there exists an epsilon greater than 0. Length of in will be something less than measure of a plus epsilon. Epsilon is arbitrary quantity. We are going to make use of this in successive theorems. So a plus x is, this is from the first property. Since A is subset of union I is equal to 1 to infinity in. What I did is I added x on both sides. So that is how I have obtained this expression. Now let me apply measure on both sides. So when you do that, subset will become less than or equal to and union will become summation. So measure is none other than length. So that is what I have written here. Measure of a plus x is less than or equal to length of in plus x. Fine. Now, since when you're going to split this, length of in plus length of x, you're going to get length of x is none other than measure of x. By the property, measure of x is 0. So, left with length of in. What I have assumed is length of in is less than m star of a plus epsilon. That is what I have written. Fine. Since epsilon is arbitrary, we can eliminate it or we can neglect it simply. So, we get m star of a plus x is less than m star of a. Remember, when you have m star of a plus x, I can directly write that as which is less than m star of a. Clear? So these 7 are very important properties of outer measure. And one more thing, I am telling you again, outer measure is same as Lebesgue outer measure. One and the same. Lebesgue outer measure is one of the name for outer measure of a given set, and it is represented by m star of a. Clear? This is what the property of outer measure of a set.